Greetings and welcome to Creating Whimsical Masterpieces at Home with John Donato. I'm here in my studio, brought to you by Freeman Stage, and today we are going to help you create your very own whimsical masterpiece at home using materials that you can find right around the house. Things like tape, cardboard, pieces of paper, scissors, pencil, glue, markers, all the things that you probably have in a drawer or in a box somewhere. Today, what we're going to create is a bouquet of flowers with a holder. And it's going to be a wonderful thing that you can keep for yourself, or maybe you give it to somebody to brighten up their day and bring some joy into their life. Whatever the purpose, it's going to be fun, and I'm ready to build it with you. So let's get started.
So let's first look at the materials you're going to need for today, like Elmer's glue, a pencil, a pair of scissors, some strips of thin cardboard like from a soda box, Sharpie if you have one, some color magic markers, some loose pieces of cardboard, a toilet paper roll, some scotch tape, and some loose leaf paper would be good. Okay, so get these things together. So let's get started with step one, putting together the base and the holder for our bouquet of flowers. We're going to use a base for the flowers using a circular piece of cardboard connected to a toilet paper roll. So take a piece of cardboard and we're going to draw a circle and cut it out using anything round, a cup or a roll of tape as I have here. Mark out a circle and we're going to cut it with the scissors, and always be careful with scissors. Then we're going to take that round piece and we're going to color it in with the magic markers. You can do any design you want. The idea is to just add a lot of color to the circle. Give it some contrast, give it some nice colors. This way it'll be decorative when we put it down to view the bouquet. And once you're finished with this, you're going to put it aside. Now we're going to take our toilet paper roll and we're going to use that to create the stem of the holder. But first you're going to need to cut that open vertically so we can put it down and color it. And then you're going to take a marker or a pencil and you're going to draw a line about 3/4 of an inch to the left of the right side. And then we can start coloring this. That line is going to be a place where we're going to mount it to the base. So we're going to cut tabs in there. So let's color it in using our markers. And you can do any design you like. You can really practice and experiment with this. I'm going to use a cube-like design. It's inspired by Cubism. Mondrian was an artist who was one of my favorite, who was a cubist. And I'm going to create a grid pattern like this with just some random shapes of rectangles and squares. And then I'm going to color them in with all the different colors of the markers. So I'm just going to sort of make it look a little like stained glass by the time it's done. So have some fun with this. Experiment. There's no wrong way to put the colors in position. And then once it's filled in, we're going to go back over it with a black magic marker. So you're going to redo the grid. What it'll do, it'll give it a real distinct feel, and it will fix up those areas where the colors from the magic marker bled together. And when you're done with that, we're going to move to the next step. Now we're to step two, where we are going to create the tabs that we're going to use, and we're going to put together the tube again so that we can mount it to the base. So using that black line that was 3/4 in from the right, we are going to draw about 1-inch rectangles with our marker, and then we're going to cut those right up to the 3/4 inch black line. Be consistent and be careful with the scissors. Once you do that, we're going to fold those tabs back now. So as we turn this sideways, you're going to see how we're going to glue these pieces right to the base. Now step three, attaching the tube to the base. We're going to take the base, put it to the side, take a piece of tape that is a little longer than the tube, okay, the holder, and we're going to fix that half on and half off the side of the tube, because what we're going to do is put the tube back together the way we found it using that tape. So once we connect the sides again, we take a little tab at the top, that's why it was longer, to secure it, and then squeeze it with your fingers to make sure the tape is secure to the tube. Now we're going to take a little bit of glue and put it on the tabs. Okay, and just a little dot of glue will go on each one of these 5 tabs, and you can use a piece of cardboard if you like to spread it around evenly. Makes a nice efficient way to work with glue. So I grab a little strip of cardboard that I have off the side here, and I'm just going to use that as my glue spreading stick. And once I even that out, I'm going to put it on the base, and I'm going to push the tabs down to make sure that everything is secure. And what I'm going to do is take something, a little heavy object, not too heavy, and put it on top. I'm going to use one of my big paintbrushes, and that will help secure the holder to the base as it dries. And then I'm just going to put that aside. So now we're moving on to step 4. We are going to create the flowers, and we're going to start with the stems. So we're going to take a piece of cardboard, and we are going to cut some strips out of it. So I have this old piece of cardboard with some markers on it. That's okay. And I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut these strips out. When I have a big piece of cardboard like this, I'll cut half and then the other half. Makes it easier to get through that large cardboard with scissors. Be mindful, never point the scissors at your fingers while you're cutting. So I'm going to cut out some strips that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to put them aside. Step 5, we are going to start creating the flower heads. So I'm going to start with a little chrysanthemum, little button flower. So I'm taking circles of paper that I've cut out about 3 inches, and I'm just going to color them in with dots and circles and rings, and then I'm going to crumple it up. And the crumpling up is going to give it a texture, and then I'm going to open it back up. So now I have a texture of a little button flower, a chrysanthemum, or a carnation type of flower. And then I'm going to pinch it in the center and shape it up a little bit. And then I'm going to put that aside. Now we're moving to step 6. We're going to create another flower, and it's going to be bigger than the carnation, and it's going to have a different shape. I'm going to cut out a much larger ring, more like 4 to 5 inches in diameter. Careful of the scissors again. And then I'm going to color this one in with some big rings around the edges. Not so much detail as much as large rings of color, because it's going to give it sort of a different look when we crumple this up. So then I'm going to take the center, and I'm going to use some red, maybe some greens, yellows. But for this one, I'm going to do purple and red. Nice and simple. I'm going to keep this one. So color those in. Try to get all the details on the outer part of the ring. Try to get rid of all the white that you can on the very outside of the ring. And once that's done, you're going to crumple it up like we did before. And then you're going to unravel it and pinch and shape it like we did the little carnation. Okay? And this is going to have a little more of a bowl shape to it. And then you're going to put that aside. Now we move on to step 7, which are leaves for the stems of the flowers. So we're going to take a piece of paper. We're going to fold it once. We're going to fold it twice and possibly 3 times. This way we'll get a bunch of leaves at once when we cut them. So we take the loose end of the folded paper, and we're going to cut some elongated football-shaped leaves. So you're going to get a bunch every time you cut those because the paper's folded. And then we're going to color those in. And I like to use a lot of different colors when I'm creating any whimsical masterpiece. So I'm going to use red, I'm going to use greens, I'm going to use blues and purples. Sometimes the bottom is a different color than the top. Sometimes it's half color and half color to each side. So I'm going to color those in and take some time and have some fun. And once they are finished, you're going to put them aside, and we're going to move on to step 8. In step 8, we are going to attach the flower heads to the stems using glue. First thing we're going to do is take the stems that we had out of cardboard, and we're going to split them in half. So you separate the layers of the cardboard, creating a little Y that you can put glue in. And then you're going to spread that glue around a little bit by pinching it if you want. Then we're going to attach that right to the flower head, just like that. If you don't use too much glue, say it slipped off a little, so I'll take a little off, and I'm going to pinch it again to secure it. And then I'm going to put it to the side to let it dry. And I'm going to do that with all the flowers that I make. Okay? Now, the next, we're going to move into putting leaves onto the stems. So with a little droplet of glue, now I can put leaves on the stems, and I usually alternate them back and forth, pointing upward. And I'm going to do it on the other side of each stem. So taking all those nice leaves that you made, I'm going to create a really colorful flower by attaching those. So I'm going to do all the flowers and add some leaves to it. Again, I'm going to take my little carnation and I open up the stem like I did before by separating the layers of cardboard. And then I'm going to pinch it right onto the little carnation, little button flower. And then I'm going to put that aside to dry. So we're going to continue gluing leaves on all the flowers that we've made. And then we're going to let those dry. And then we could take a moment to stop and look at all the flowers we've created to see what we're going to put in our bouquet. Now we're going to move on to creating some foliage that we're going to put in our bouquet by taking an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, folding it in half. Okay. And then we are going to size it up to show you that this will fit into the tube with a little piece of it sticking up, and we're going to color that piece, and that's where we're going to put our grass. So I'm going to draw a line there, right where I think it'll stick out of the tube, maybe a little lower, and we're going to use a bunch of colors. I'm going to start with greens, yellows, maybe add some blue. You're going to have to do each side of the paper in the same spot. So take some time by pausing the video and create the colors like I'm doing here. And when you're finished, what you will have is a piece of paper that has the grass on both sides of the sheets. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slice those by making little blades of glass. So we're just going to shred it a little bit with our scissors. Be mindful of your fingers. I'm going to turn it around for safety and finish it off. And that's going to create our grass. And we're going to roll that up and slip that in the tube when we're finished. Last thing I'm going to do is ruffle it up a little bit to give it a little whimsical look, like it's blowing in the wind. That'd always be nice. And then we're going to put that aside. Now we can take a look at everything we've created and start to assemble our bouquet. So we have all our flowers, our carnations. We have the grass that we just created. It's all ruffled up. And we have our base. So let's put the base down and take the grass, and we are going to roll that up. And we're going to roll it up smaller than the tube itself. So it's not going to be as wide as the tube is. This way we can easily just drop it in the top, and then we can let it open itself up like so. Then we'll spread out the leaves a little bit, give it a nice full base to put our flowers in. And you can see there's a nice space in there so that we can start dropping our flower arrangements. Now, if the stems are a little too tall, you can always cut them down and make the flowers different sizes. I'm going to put a couple tall ones in here, and then I'll bring in some of the shorter ones that I can fill in on a little lower level. And I'm going to keep adding those. Bring in my carnation. I'm going to put that one in the back. It's nice and tall. Balance it out. And then I'll take my last two flowers and arrange those in there. And when we're finished, you will have a really nice whimsical bouquet of flowers that you made with items from around the house. So I hope you enjoy your bouquet. I hope you had a good time today, and I'm looking forward to next week's Creating Whimsical Masterpieces at Home with John Donato. Thanks for being with us.